You are the first to sit at the fountain and call me.
I want to renegotiate.
Sade didn't sleep that night. She went to the library and she pulled every ancient text she could reach from the shelves: astronomy, spirit lore, old contracts written in the tongue her father had brought home in a book from the northern markets when she was 14. She read through the lamps burning down. She read in the near dark when one of them finally gave out. She wasn't looking for words. She was looking for patterns. The old people wrote about serpents as architects, builders, beings who design things down to the smallest detail with full intention. Every scale placed deliberately. Every color chosen. Every direction meaningful. If 34 scales on her husband's arm coiled inward toward his heart, and 3 at the wrist pointed out, those 3 were not a mistake. They were a message. The question was who wrote it, and who it was meant for. Her handmaid found her at dawn. Titileo, small, round-faced, wearing one of Sade's old wrappers the way she always did, without asking. She walked into the library, looked at the books covering every surface, looked at Sade, and sat down without being invited. Neither of them spoke for a moment. Then Sade asked how long she had known about the marking. Tai said 6 weeks after Sade arrived. She had been helping Demilla dress for council and his sleeve was rolled. She saw it. She said nothing because she was waiting to see what Sade would do when she noticed. Sade asked if she knew about the serpent. Tai said her grandmother had served in this palace. Her grandmother's grandmother before that. The women of this palace had always known. Not from documents, not from councils, from the kitchen, from the servants' quarters, from warnings passed down to every young woman who came to work here. Don't go to the garden alone at night. Don't look into the fountain after dark. And if you ever see it, don't run. Sade asked if any servant had ever gone to the garden and spoken to it directly. Tai was quiet for a moment. Then she said once. About 60 years ago. An old cook named Mama Funk. She went the night before the 29th king's 33rd birthday. She was in the garden for 2 hours. The king lived to 34. Sade asked what happened to Mama Funk. Tai said she died the following year. She was 41 years old. Perfectly healthy before that night. The elders called it fever. The other servant said she had aged 12 years in a single night and her body couldn't carry it. The room was very quiet. Sade said she offered the years. For a king she wasn't even married to. Because nobody else would. She stood and walked to the window. Outside, the market was already calling, the kitchen fires already lit, the whole ordinary morning moving around something that had happened 60 years ago and left no record anywhere except a whisper in the servants' quarters. She said this ends differently. She went to Baba Ige that afternoon. Alone. Without announcement, which was by every rule of the palace absolutely not done. He didn't rise when she entered. He didn't look surprised. He waited until she crossed the chamber and sat in the chair directly before him, and then he said he had been waiting for her. She asked about the 3 scales. He closed his eyes. He sat with them closed long enough that the younger elder beside him shifted in his seat. Then he opened them and told her to sit closer. He said he had never told this to anyone. Not the kings. Not the other elders. He had been keeping it for the person who would come and ask. In 40 years she was the first. The first Oba, Baba Ige said, had made the bargain cleanly. Both sides understood the large terms. The error was in what he didn't say. He had bargained for power and protection. He had agreed to 12 years from each king. But he had never specified whose 12 years. He assumed his own. Every king after him assumed the same. The serpent accepted what each king offered because an offer freely made is the offer that counts. But the original contract said only 12 years, freely given, by one who loves the king. It did not say the king himself. The 3 scales pointing outward were placed there by the serpent 400 years ago. They were a door, pointing away from the king, toward someone who loved him not because they were born into his bloodline but because they chose to. A wife. It had always been meant for a wife. But no wife had ever been told in time. Baba Ige looked at her and said until now. She asked how the door opened. He said the 3 scales were a lock. To open it, All three had to be touched simultaneously, with full knowledge of what was being given. Not guilt. Not obligation. Not fear. The serpent heard intention before it heard anything else. If the offering was anything other than love, pure, tested, truth-knowing love, the door would not open. She asked what happened if someone touched the scales without full understanding. He said the door simply wouldn't open. The serpent didn't punish the willing. It waited. She asked what happened if someone understood everything and still offered. He said the king would wake on his 33rd birthday and not die. He would not know why. Unless she told him she had known before he finished speaking that she couldn't tell Miller. Not before. He would argue. He would reason. He would be warm and firm and completely immovable about it. He would say he would rather die at 33 than take years from her life. He would mean every word. That was the problem. He was going to be his own undoing through sheer decency. She brought Tai-Tai into the thinking.